ES E-mini futures, 2000 tick chart, and we're using price action rules and market geometry to determine where to enter for high probability setups. So as you can see, we're starting with the overnight session. We had a pretty decent uptrend working higher. Now, after market open, it's not uncommon for these overnight uptrends and downtrends to not create new extreme. So when I get into the market and I see something like this, I'm not super sold on going long yet. I really want to see some more price action form to show that it wants to test new extreme. And as you can see, we just created new extreme here. So this one did create it. Let's see, there we go. So as you can see, we have a new high, first entry long as soon as we broke above this bar here. That's first entry long, and then the pullback happens once we broke below that bar. So new high, first entry long, pullback, second entry long because it broke above this bear bar here. And then we have this higher low confirming the second entry long right here. But you can see we're kind of sideways. You can see how flat EMA is. You can see where there's a chance that we're in this small trading range. This uptrend does need new high, even though it's not 100% that it'll create it because it was the overnight session. You can still see it's a decent trade. I skipped it personally just because we're so stacked. You can see how flat EMA is right here. You can find multiple rejections to the downside that the EMA is holding, and then it pushed above and then held above. So it's a good trade. If you took it, I can see why you did. But personally, I skipped it just because we've been so sideways here and the EMA is flat. So new highs created. After new high, we can expect a correction or reversal. And we've already been correcting here. Now that we're in this trading range, you can see we broke outside of that trading range. Ooh, a lot of volume there. And most of the time when these trading ranges break, you expect them to pull back in because most breakouts fail, right? So when you find an opportunity to go long right after a break of a trading range, you don't want to take that because there's a chance that it'll pull back in and then, either break out of the other side or find support or resistance at the top or bottom of the trading range. Long story short, don't trade the breakout, right? You want to see the breakout fail, and then start to look for some kind of reversal pattern, like a failed second entry long, to ride the channel back into the trading range, either the bottom or the top, whether you break out of the bottom or the top, right? So, so far, pretty decent price action. That higher low is decent, so if you took it, I could see why you would. But me personally, I skipped it. So I'm going to be sitting on my hands now that we have new high. We want to see what the market wants to do. Just got to be patient, wait for the market to come to us, so we'll see. All right, guys, so we have this spike and channel here. You can see a spike in this channel, and then it breaks, push to new extreme, and then we continue to work higher. And we have a nice second entry long and then higher low confirming that second entry long. This spike and channel needs to create new extreme. So a good long trade. You can see we're holding at EMA. Pretty decent risk for me. Let's see if we can fill the 8 tick here. Just one more tick. All right, we filled the 8 tick. So I'm just going to be holding this trade. Hopefully we can reach this 16. Pretty good price action overall. You can see we're in this trading range, and you can see we broke out of the top, and that led to a break out of the bottom, and we know that most breakouts fail. This is pretty common to see. You'll see it break out of one side, push back in, break outside to the other side of the trading range, and then it'll cause it to reverse to the other side. So you can see we traded up into this trading range. So you really want to see the opportunity to go long here, or to see it break out of the top of the trading range and continue higher, right? Because we traded up. So there's a potential for an even wider trend here, but it's way too early to tell. So I'm just going to be holding this trade. Let's see what happens. Okay guys, so we had this spike in channel working higher and it needed to create new high, but you can see we pushed below EMA and we kept holding below EMA. So I drew this wider downtrend working lower here, and now I think that this downtrend needs to create new low before we can expect it to test new high for this one. So I'm just going to be sitting on my hands. But if we stay above EMA here and continue to work higher, I can negate this downtrend because this one comes first, because it formed first, and it's a little bit steeper, it's a little bit wider and stronger. So if we stay above EMA here, then I'll be looking for new high. If we break back below, then I'll be expecting it to create new low before we push up. So let's see what the market wants to do. All right, guys, so we had that other downtrend drawn, but we broke that channel and created a new low, and we continued to work lower. So I need to look for some kind of wider channel. So I'm thinking you always want to find your first swing, right? That makes sense. So maybe something like this, and then you just copy that line, put it at the bottom. You can see we have multiple bounces off of the bottom, multiple off of the top. It fits pretty well. Now, early on in the channel, you can see we have a lot of empty room here. I'm not a big fan of that, but we have these 3 swings down right here. So there might be a potential that we're like this. We have break and then new low. But I'm just going to play this wider channel like this. If we end up breaking out of the other side, I'll probably move this up and play break and push to new extreme there. So still just watching the market. I was expecting after we created new low for that other downtrend for it to push above EMA to test new high. But you can get this little tool on NinjaTrader where you're able to trace how far the market has gone. If I can move this, here we go. So you can see we've already retraced on this trend the majority of this trend here. And when you see that happen, then there's a good chance that this isn't even going to create new extreme. So you just start to move on. So now we're following this downtrend here. A little bit sketchy right now taking any shorts off of the EMA because there is a potential that we have a tighter channel that created new low already. So I really want to see a push phase up and then a rejection possibly off of this top trend line here, and then a push below EMA, maybe a lower high or something confirming to be able to take a short here. But really got to be patient in times like this. You can see the market's really starting to slow down, so you don't want to just be looking for trades anywhere. You want to have an understanding of the bias before you look for trades, right? Your trades are going to confirm the overall direction of the market, and you got to find that overall direction first, right? So let's see what the market wants to do here. All right, guys, so we had this downtrend working lower. We had this small short-term uptrend, but we broke outside of that trend and pushed below EMA, and we had this nice lower high. I tried to get filled on this with my 8-tick limit, but it pretty much just ran without me. So unfortunately didn't get filled. You can see the massive runner you could have had on this one. So if you caught this trade, very, very well done. And it actually led to a whole new trend starting to the downside. Now there's a potential that this trend has break and new low already, but I'm just going to be keeping it like this. Considering we're back below EMA now, there's a good chance we'll test new low. So if we do our retracement trick, you can see we haven't even retraced 50%, so it's not out of the picture yet that we're going to create new low for this, but I'm still just kind of sitting on my hands waiting for more price action to form. Now that we have such a decisive push above EMA, I'm actually just going to be playing break and new low for this downtrend, and then we started this new uptrend and it needs new high. So, and then we just created new high just now. So after this, we're expecting correction or reversal. It's really up in the air which direction the market wants to go. You can see we've had a lot of different direction today. We went up and then now we're back down and then now we're back up. So really just going to sit on my hands here and wait for more price action to develop before I start looking for anything. We have new high for this uptrend, so let's see what the market wants to do. All right, guys, we pushed into this consolidation. Here's a good example of some price action rules here. In trading ranges, either big or small, when it breaks out the top or bottom of this trading range, it 90% of the time fails. So if it breaks out of these trading ranges, it's going to pull back in. So you never want to trade the breakout, right? You want to wait for that to break out, and then you can actually start to look for setups to pull back into range. Now we have a first entry long, pullback, second entry long failure here. It would be a decent trade, but you can see it formed in the middle of this trading range, and we don't have much room to scalp out because we're about to hit these lows here. So if that formed either up here off of this channel line here, or if EMA was up here and it formed below EMA higher up, you can consider something like that. And it may even end up working, but you can see, like I said, we're right in the middle of this trading range and we don't have much room to scalp out. So I'm going to be sitting on my hands. I'm not taking this one. And we'll just continue to watch the market and see what it wants to do. All right, guys. So we had this downtrend and we had overshoot. Overshoot happens when we break out of the channel in the direction of the trend. So as you can see, we broke out of the bottom of this downtrend. Now when overshoot happens, it can often lead to complete reversals of the market. But as you can see, we broke the channel with overshoot and then we continued to push lower. So you got to ask yourself why. And I'm thinking that there's some kind of, we may just end up widening the channel like this. It fits pretty well. Definitely fits at the top. We only have one confirmation bounce off of the bottom. But we have to account for the reason that it's continuing to push lower. So I'm going to be watching this. I'm going to go ahead and take my break. I'll be back in about an hour or so. Getting pretty hungry, so I want to grab some food. Now, one of the people in my Discord had mentioned that there's a potential wider downtrend. Potentially something I'm thinking like this. And it looks pretty good. You can see there's a lot of empty room here at the start. I'm not a huge fan of that, but if we can bounce off of the bottom of this trend line here, then I'll like it a lot better. But we'll see what it looks like when I get back from my break here. It's definitely continuing to work lower though, so we'll see. All right, guys, I just came back from my break and there was a failed second entry short here. You can see this signal bar super big, so I had to use the engulfing method, which is, so we have a new high first entry long, pull back second entry long, and then a higher low here. But you can see it's a bear bar, and then there was a strong bull bar afterwards. So I pretty much entered on that bar, but I entered after I saw this bar starting to have some momentum to the upside. So I put my limit order above the bar that was forming, trying to get pretty much filled on this one, if that makes sense. And got pretty lucky. It filled my order and then immediately scalped my 8 and 16. And now I'm in with one contract for the runner. It's a pretty decent uptrend here. You can see we had strong overshoot of this channel here, and then it just completely reversed to the upside. So I just completely drew a new uptrend and started playing it as soon as I got back here. So I'm gonna hold this this runner. We'll see if the market wants to keep going. I'll probably let this runner run for a little while. I'm not really going to trail it too tight or anything like that. I'm just going to leave it at break even, and hopefully we can get a strong push here, but we'll see. All right, guys, looks like my runner got hit there. It might continue higher, but that's all right. I got an extra, I think it was, I don't even remember. I think it was like 27 ticks or something like that on the runner. So pretty decent. Overall, good day. I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. So if we look back at the overall price action for the day, a lot of volume, a lot of movement. The bars were pretty big. The ATR was around 3 all day. So the average bar was around, 16 ticks or whatever. So overall pretty good. We started the morning off with this nice uptrend, and we actually did end up creating new high for that. And at the same time, it was a failed breakout of this trading range. Failed breakout, ended up pulling back in, broke out of the other side of the trading range, and then it completely reversed to the upside, which is common to see when you have an uptrend and then a consolidation. Like you traded up into this consolidation, it'll often break out of the top side and continue to work higher. You can see it's kind of like two legs. It's not completely measured, but it's two legs, and the market likes to move in pairs of two. Sorry, excuse me. So after that happened, we had this spike, and then we created a new high for this spike here, and it continued to work higher. So I drew this channel. So it's a spike and a channel because we continued to work higher, and you got to find another channel to account for all the price action moving upwards. We broke outside of that channel and never created new high for that channel. So we ended up having another downtrend here. And at first I thought that there was a potential overshoot, and it already created new low because we pushed above EMA here. But as you can see, we just continued to work lower. and ended up having overshoot, but we just created a whole new channel working to the downside. And that one had break push to new extreme, which caused it to push above EMA. So we drew another channel to account for that price action. And then this one broke out, created new high, and then we just ended up kind of working sideways. We broke out of the top side of this small consolidation, started a new downtrend lower, had overshoot of this one, but you can see how big that overshoot is. When there's an overshoot that big, or any overshoot really, where it breaks out of the bottom of the downtrend or the top of the uptrend, it can lead to complete reversal of the market, and that's what happened here. So these two really, really good trades here. I could talk about those for a second. So we have a new high, first entry long, pullback, second entry long, and then a higher low confirming it. But as you can see, the higher low triggered above this bear bar, but immediately after we had this strong bull bar. So you can enter that as a double bar entry. Basically, you enter on this bull bar and you put your stop loss one tick below the original higher low, the bear bar here. And then we have a new low, first entry short, pullback, second entry short, failure, strong rejection off of the EMA. We're in a strong uptrend. I entered this, I think like right there, somewhere around that area. So I was entering on this one, but I only entered on this higher low once I started to see this failed second entry short bar really start to have some momentum to the upside. And it ended up working for 8, 16, and then I think like a 27 tick runner. So pretty good. And then this trade I took earlier, where is it? This one here. Was it this one? I can't remember which trade it was that I took. It'll be in the video though. So yeah, somewhere in the video. I can't remember exactly which one I took. I have to look for that later on when I do my journal and all that stuff. But if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Feel free to subscribe. I'm going to be uploading every weekday my live charting session, as well as my new Discord that I just set up. I'm getting a few members in there now, and we have a pretty good little community going. I'm going to be live streaming my screen every day. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and join up. Thank you guys for watching, and good luck with your trading.